Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Cleave podcast. This is John the Front, and we are continuing our Holy Week episodes. And today we'll be talking about Saturday. And I hope you've enjoyed this series. I know that for me personally, as I have studied more to prepare for these messages and for the things I've shared on social media and on our newsletter, it has just given me it's just been a different week for me. And I've been super grateful for it and for the opportunity to pause and reflect on each of the days, but ultimately just reflect on my Savior, Jesus Christ's life. And I'm so grateful for him. I'm grateful for the records that we have that teach us about his life and his mission and his purpose, and that we can have a very deep and personal relationship with him even today, and especially today. And today, as we talk about Saturday specifically, I wanted to, just pause for a minute and see what got us to the Saturday point. Friday, we know that the pain already happened. That was a really hard day to see the pain and the suffering that Jesus Christ had to go through. We know what's coming, right? We know that Sunday is that period of resurrection and redemption, and that is where we have hope and happiness and joy in that promise. But Saturday is a period of silence. It's somber, it's hard, it is confusing. And I think a lot about the Saturday period. I feel like much of my life work has come about in helping in that period. And that's not to say that I've always been able to have the right perspective on Saturday, and I still can fall short in that silence period from time to time. But I wanted to just share a few little pearls of wisdom with you. For many people in that Saturday period, it's a period that is a space between that loss and redemption. The wound feels very real, but the healing is not yet visible. And it's a day where heaven can feel really quiet. And that is hard. And I think that there have been times in my life where I've wanted to curse God. I think specifically about the time when my dad was diagnosed with stage 4 brain cancer. He was 43 years old. I'm 42. So it hits close to home for me. He had 7 children, or has 7 children. I'm the oldest of those 7. And the youngest, when he was diagnosed, was only 6 or 7 years old. So it was a devastating period for our family. And that began the chapter of a 3-year battle with brain cancer. And ultimately, my dad lost that battle, and he passed away when he was 46 years old. And that's been obviously a very definitive and transformative period of my life. But back to the period of cursing God, I have been there, right? Where I am asking, where are you? And why can't you perform the miracle? And where is the comfort and the peace? But if I've learned anything through that period and through many, many others throughout my life where it has felt like heaven has been absent, I have learned that that is an amazing period of time for growth and transformation and for the healing process to begin. And if we can change our narrative a little bit in our mind, and instead of cursing God and asking why, that we can instead get curious and ask why. So instead of why God, it's why God, and we can get curious with that. Now, with that being said, I don't want to minimize anybody else's pain of what you're going through, the grief, the hardship. You might be going through marriage pain, unanswered prayer, job loss, families being fractured, depression, spiritual waiting periods. Those are all really, really challenging. And I don't want to dismiss the feelings and the heaviness that exists there. But what I do want to talk about on this Holy Saturday is I want you to know from me that silence does not mean abandonment. silence is not absence, and that God is doing a mighty work in that period. And when you think about that with the Savior, from crucifixion to resurrection, I imagine that in between was an amazing, transformative experience and so powerful. But this is where growth occurs, and it is the things that we can't see. It's where our faith is tested. And it can be hard because it can feel like no progress is being made and that nothing is happening. So there's that, it's a sweet spot, really. But just because nothing looks different yet does not mean that nothing is happening. Some of God's holiest work happens where we cannot yet see it. And when I look back at my life and I think of, the chapters that have had that heaviness, those are some of the sweetest, most sacred, cherished chapters of my life, because it has allowed for that growth, but it's also allowed for that connection to heaven. It's where I've been humble and curious and more prayerful and more faithful. It's where I search the scriptures more intently. It's where I go to the temple to seek personal revelation. It's where I have the deep conversations with my wife or with friends and people that I know and trust. And so if you are in the Saturday chapter of your life or a Saturday chapter of your life right now, in that period of waiting for the healing or waiting for peace or waiting for family repair, for clarity, waiting for God to just help move you and move into the miracle phase, I want you to just know that the story is not over just because it's still Saturday. And one of the talks that I love from a man named Joseph Wordland, and I will link his talk in the show notes, but it is entitled Sunday Will Come. And it's a beautiful sermon that has so richly blessed my life and many others. And he says this in his talk. He says, "So if today still feels like Saturday, stay with him. The story is not over. Sunday will come." And I'm so grateful for that message. And it's one that I hope, as you are contemplating this special day and whatever phase of life that you're in, that you will find the blessing in Saturdays and in that waiting period, and that you'll be able to dig deep to see that growth, but that you can have hope for a brighter tomorrow. And it's my testimony and my message today that Sunday will come, and I am forever grateful for it and am looking forward to it. But that is my message for the day. I hope you have a wonderful Easter tomorrow and that you've had a great Holy Week. And just want to thank you so much for being here. Hope you have a great one.